Picture this. It's 1958. You're driving a truck down a dark back road, rain hammering the windshield. You glance down at your feet and there's glass. Actual windows, right by your boots. You can watch the road rushing underneath you like you're standing on it. Sounds made up, right? It wasn't. This was a real truck. International Harvester built it, and they called it the Sightliner. And the story behind those floor windows isn't really about comfort. It's about money. Let's rewind to right after World War II. America's booming. Factories are cranking out goods, and trucking is turning into the backbone of the whole economy. But there's a catch. States had strict laws on how long a truck and trailer combo could be. So every extra inch the cab took up was an inch you couldn't use for cargo. And less cargo meant less profit. To a trucking company, the front of that truck wasn't just metal and glass. It was money you weren't making. So engineers went to work shrinking the cab. The obvious move was a cab-over design. Put the driver right on top of the engine instead of behind a long hood. Other companies were already doing versions of this. But International took the idea and pushed it about as far as it could go. In 1957, they rolled out the Sightliner, and the cab, from bumper to back wall, measured about 48 inches, 4 feet. That's shorter than a park bench, and a full-grown man was supposed to work an entire shift from inside it. To pull that off, International didn't start from scratch. They actually borrowed the cab and doors from their regular medium-duty trucks, then chopped and reshaped it into a tilt-up cab-over. Lift a lever, and the whole cab tips forward, giving mechanics access to the engine underneath. Clever packaging. But it also meant the front end of the truck was basically missing. No long hood, no nose, nothing but a driver perched right above a gas V8. From a business angle, genius. Shorter truck, longer trailer, more freight, more money. But shrinking the cab created a real problem. Push the driver forward and up, and suddenly he can't see what's happening right in front of his own bumper. A kid on a bike, a stalled car, anything close in, gone from view. And back then, plenty of highways still ran straight through the middle of small towns, with pedestrians crossing in front of trucks all day long. A blind spot like that wasn't just inconvenient, it was dangerous. International's fix was almost too simple. If the driver can't see over the front, let him see through the floor. So they cut 2 windows into the lower part of the cab, right where your feet sit. Real safety glass, with their own tiny wipers built in. The logic made sense on paper. Can't see straight ahead, look down instead. Problem solved. Except a truck doesn't live on paper. It lives on the highway, in the rain, in July heat, at 2 in the morning when a driver's eyes are already tired. Daytime was rough. Sunlight came straight through that lower glass and baked the driver's legs for hours. Guys said it felt like sitting in a greenhouse. No shade, nowhere to hide from it. Nighttime was worse. An oncoming car rounds a bend, headlights blazing, and instead of staying outside the cab, that light shoots straight through the floor windows. It bounces off the dash, off the floor, right into the driver's eyes. A feature built to help you see ended up blinding you. Then there's the part nobody talks about enough, feeling exposed. On a normal truck, you're tucked behind one windshield up high. In the Sightliner, anyone standing next to it could look right in and see your legs, your feet, everything below the waist. On a long haul at a truck stop, that's a strange feeling to sit with. And in winter, that same glass worked against the driver too. Cold air radiating off it straight onto bare legs and feet for hours at a time, on top of the heat problems in summer. And American roads are filthy. Gravel, rocks, debris kicked up by every vehicle in front of you. A rock hitting a normal windshield is annoying. A rock hitting glass 6 inches from your shin is a whole different kind of scary. So drivers did what drivers do. They fixed it themselves. Metal plates, cans of paint, whatever it took to cover those windows up. The feature that was supposed to make the truck safer got welded shut by the very people who had to live with it every day. And that's really the heart of this story. The engineers weren't dumb, honestly, the opposite. They solved a genuinely hard problem in a clever way. The issue is that the real world doesn't care how clever your blueprint is. It cares whether the guy behind the wheel can survive an 8-hour shift without sunburned legs and a headache from glare. People started calling it the flying fishbowl. Others just said it looked like a greenhouse on wheels. And the more drivers modified their trucks, the harder it got to find one that still looked the way it rolled off the factory floor. The Sightliner had another problem working against it too: timing. Diesel engines were taking over heavy trucking fast, and the Sightliner never got a diesel option. It ran on gas only, in a cramped, oddball cab, right as the whole industry was moving toward bigger, more efficient rigs. International pulled the plug around 1962, and the Sightliner quietly disappeared from American highways. Most old trucks just rot away in a field somewhere and get forgotten. The Sightliner didn't. It became something people actually went looking for. Because decades later, Hollywood needed a truck like nothing else on the road. For the 2011 movie Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, the production wanted something rough, industrial, and completely alien-looking. They found a 1960 International Harvester Sightliner, the ACO 195, and built it into a one-of-a-kind movie truck. New turbo diesel engine, reworked rear end, custom everything. Reports say it cost around $250,000 to build, because there was no backup. If it broke during filming, they were stuck. A truck that trucking companies once considered a headache turned into a movie star. And here's the thing, it's easy to look at those floor windows now and just laugh. They look ridiculous. But they came from a real problem, created by real laws and real business pressure. Engineers were trying to squeeze every legal inch of cargo space out of a truck, and they found a genuinely smart way to fix the blind spot it created. They just didn't think through what it would actually feel like to sit behind that glass for 10 hours straight. That's the real lesson buried in this weird old truck. You can solve a problem perfectly on a drawing board and still end up with something miserable to live with. Every scratch and dent around those floor windows is proof of that. So next time you're picturing engineers as these flawless, all-knowing types, remember the Sightliner. Remember a truck so short its own name became a joke, with windshield wipers bolted to the floor because someone thought that was the answer. Somewhere out there, a few of these trucks are probably still sitting in a barn or a scrapyard, paint faded, tires flat, dust sitting on glass that used to look straight down at the pavement. But that glass still tells the story. A story about drivers pulling all-nighters in a truck that baked their legs and blinded them at night. About engineers chasing an impossible fix. About an industry changing faster than anyone could keep up with. The Sightliner tried to rewrite the rules of trucking. And in a way, it did. It made the cab shorter, and it genuinely gave drivers a view straight down at the road below them. But it also proved something a lot of engineers learn the hard way. Brilliant on paper doesn't always mean livable in real life. So next time you're driving down a quiet road at night, take a second and imagine it. Windows at your feet, headlights flashing up through the floor, and somewhere underneath your boots, the pavement rolling by like you're standing right on top of it. That was the Sightliner, one of the strangest trucks America ever built, and one of the most honest lessons in engineering history. If stories like this get your gears turning, hit subscribe and join Piston Legends Garage. Every week we dig up the strangest, boldest, and most forgotten machines in automotive history. Drop a comment telling us which weird truck or classic ride we should cover next, and hit that bell so you never miss one.